Welcome to the Speaking of Women's Health podcast. I'm your host and author, Dr. Holly Thacker. And today's chapter 6 is on healthy nutrition for a healthy midlife. Nutrition is vitally important at midlife. Why? Well, our metabolism is slowing down, our muscle mass is decreasing, and we can't rebound from the consequences of poor health choices like eating fast food or drinking too much alcohol the way we might have done in our 20s and 30s. More importantly, what we eat affects so many body organs and physical processes that are further affected by declining levels of estrogen. Our choice of foods, vitamins, and supplements impacts the heart, brain, bones, and influences disease prevention, even hot flashes in some cases. I'd like to think of midlife as a sort of reset button. These years are your chance to play with destiny and really control how you look and feel for the next 40 or more years by making wise nutritional choices, one bite at a time. My patient Louise learned firsthand how life-changing a move towards good nutrition can be. This is what Louise said. When I entered menopause early after I had a hysterectomy at age 39, my body just seemed to soak up fat and calories because of my slower metabolism, my lack of exercise, and just plain old overeating. And so I was already very overweight, so this whole thing was so daunting to me. The lack of estrogen after my ovaries were removed seemed to cause my already elevated weight just to surge. In addition, I had severe hot flashes. My bones and joints seemed fragile. I even broke my arm. Without any estrogen, my body seemed to have a total mind of its own, and it just kept playing tricks on me. So I went to the website of the North American Menopause Society, menopause.org, for a specialist in the menopause field, and I found Dr. Thacker, and she prescribed hormone therapy. It really helped. But it was still hard to feel good about myself when I was still so overweight. I deserved better. I owed it to myself to lose the weight, and it was a good time to seriously reconsider my lifestyle. And this time, I had a free pass from my insurance company to take care of business. At 100 pounds over my ideal weight, I was approved for bariatric surgery, and the procedure could shave off more than a third of the old Louise. But all my life, taking shortcuts really never paid off. I decided in the end not to have the bariatric surgery. Instead, I started to see a nutritionist, as Dr. Thacker recommended, for advice about my diet. I learned everything I needed to know about nutrition at midlife. My nutritionist explained good and bad food choices and introduced me to options that would work with my lifestyle. Portion control was very important, to only eat until I was 80% full, because it takes a while for the stomach to send signals to the brain to catch up that you've eaten enough. Also, it was very important about the timing of when I ate and the role of regular exercise and weight-bearing exercise. After I tackled the pretty radical changes in my diet, I focused on the fact that every day the choice was mine. And Dr. Thacker told me a healthy lifestyle is a choice. I started to eat much fewer calories, mainly vegetables, grains, and some fruits. And I chose lean proteins like lean meat or fish. And the weight did begin to come off. Every pound I lost was just more incentive to keep it up. At the beginning, Dr. Thacker prescribed a fat blocker, Orlistat, which initially was a prescription medicine and is now over-the-counter. If I cheated on my diet and ate too much, I had to run to the bathroom. And once, well, I'll spare you the details. Suffice it to say, I didn't cheat often. And I also exercised daily for an hour. This was my time. And I just reminded myself that I was doing this for myself. I'm now 100 pounds lighter, and I'm happy, and I really feel like I shed my old self, and I really like how I look and feel. So there are many prescription medications, and there are so many new things that are expanding on the horizon. And I will have to have some experts in weight management talk about some options for women in upcoming podcast. But what I can tell you that for Louise, 2 years after she decided against bariatric surgery, she came in looking completely fit and fabulous, and her whole disposition was different. She was lighthearted, confident, and clearly loving life. So I tell Louise the story, her name changed, of course, as often as I can to inspire others. And even though there's some incredible advances with weight loss medications that are on the market, I still think to do it the way that Louise did it for most people is so important, because there is a lot of ways to lose weight, including dramatic bariatric surgery for people who have severe medical problems and a significant amount of weight to lose like she did. But that weight can come back if you do not change your lifestyle. I recently saw Louise because she wanted a clean bill of health because she found a new life partner. Her appearance had boosted her self-esteem and gave her a poise that she previously lacked when she was carrying that extra 100 pounds. So, after being alone for a long time, she had found romance. And she changed her lifestyle habits dramatically. And quite frankly, most of us need to do that at midlife if you want to stay healthy and vibrant. So, in terms of the food pyramid and food choices don't work for all people. And sometimes too many carbs and grains, especially simple carbs, just drive insulin. Overall, in general, even though I think down the road we're going to find that some diets work much better for some people than others, and we have different ways to metabolize medicines, and the same thing with foods. The one thing that's clear is that fruits and vegetables and lean protein are very important. For midlife women, getting enough calcium-rich foods, and that does not have to be dairy. And there has to be a balance between food and physical activity. What are some weight-attracting danger zones? Well, women are more likely to gain weight at certain times, and some of this coincides with your midlife. Danger zones include when women are sleep deprived, and we know hot flashes and night sweats can do that. Times when the stress hormones are on high alert, which can happen at midlife with lots of responsibilities between aging relatives and teenage kids converging. Periods of life changes, good or bad, including things like weddings, births, divorce, death, empty nest. An overload of stress can eat away at your willpower to avoid bad foods. Can not sleeping make you fat? Well, studies do show that people who don't sleep enough are more prone to weight gain than those of us who get plenty of shut-eye. The reason is that the hormone levels regulating appetite are governed in part by sleep. And when you don't get enough rest, there are not enough hormones telling you that you just ate. So you just keep eating, and the weight goes on and on. So please, number one importance is to get enough sleep. And for midlife women, many times estrogen and natural progesterone do help with sleep. But there are other sleep disorders, and we'll talk about more of that in future podcasts. So what is the ideal weight loss medicine? The diet industry is rich with all these, quick ways to supposedly zap fat and lose weight before the weekend and stay slim forever and eat everything you want. Yeah, right. The fact is, to lose weight, the equation about calories in versus calories burned matters. And the other thing that's important to know is that once you reach a certain weight, your brain thinks that's your bare minimum. And it takes a while to reset that set point. So some people might thrive on a high-protein diet, which fills them up. Others might function best with more carbohydrates. So it has to be individualized. And when pressed to just recommend a general diet, I do endorse the Mediterranean diet, which has vegetables and fruits and complex carbohydrates, beans, nuts, seeds, potatoes, and the use of the heart-healthy oils like olive oil and avocado. It also includes dairy products and fish and poultry in small to moderate amounts. Studies of people who follow the Mediterranean diet tend to find that in general they live longer, they're healthier, and they have less chronic diseases than the typical American. The bottom line is sugar and trans fats and junk food and highly processed foods need to be avoided like the plague. So what's the difference between saturated fats and trans fats? Both are key factors in elevating the cholesterol, but they're found in different foods. Saturated fats are usually solid at room temperature, and they don't combine well with oxygen. They tend to raise that LDL bad cholesterol, and you'll find them in animal fats like whole milk and cream and lard and meats. Now, trans fats are dangerous, and they're created through partial hydrogenation, which heats vegetable oil and transforms it under pressure. It makes the oils easier to use in food production and gives processed foods a much longer shelf life. So these bad fats have been found in lots of commercially packaged foods, potato chips, cookies, crackers, donuts, cakes, and French fries. See, these trans fats pack a double whammy. They can raise your bad cholesterol, lower the good one. And they're so unhealthy that the American Heart Association Nutrition Committee strongly advises not ingesting them. So what about this low-fat phenomenon? Low-fat doesn't necessarily translate to healthy. Cotton candy has no fat, but it's certainly not good for you. Cakes and cookies and snack foods that advertise as low-fat are just that, but they aren't low in calories, and they're not a replacement for fruits and nuts and seeds and veggies. A lot of women don't shed pounds on low-fat diets. Fat can actually be filling. Your low-carb diet also could be totally polluted with trans fats. So healthy eating is about balance and choosing the right foods for you. And if you cut back on fat but not calories, that's not going to get you anywhere with weight loss. So food for thought. There are a lot of misconceptions about foods that heal. It seems that no one can resist sounding off on what we should eat, when, and why. We hear from the media, medical community, dietitians, of course celebrities, self-proclaimed specialists whose research might not be any deeper than the webpage they spout their advice on. There's so much mixed messages about soy and egg and organic foods and supplements. It's really hard to know what to believe and whom to trust. So here are some of my thoughts. The first question I get, and if I don't get it, I address it immediately, is will hormone therapy make me fat? No, absolutely not. Low-dose hormone therapy does not cause weight gain. Several prospective randomized trials have shown that women who take placebo gain more weight than women on hormones. I find that many of my patients lose a slight bit of weight when they start taking hormones because they feel better, sleep better, and have more energy. Unfortunately, our metabolic rate slows as we age. So if you don't compensate for this by reducing calories and exercising more just to stay the same, you're going to gain weight at midlife. And blaming it on hormone therapy is not the culprit. Is there a menopause diet? Well, this is a disputed topic. Many so-called health experts claim you can alleviate menopause symptoms with certain foods or supplements. But some risk factors associated with aging and menopause can't be changed. Nonetheless, healthy eating can prevent and reduce bothersome symptoms. Will soy products relieve menopausal symptoms? Well, soy is a rich source of phytoestrogen. It's plant-derived, and in some people, it can behave like a very weak estrogen in the body. In some women, soy metabolizes into equal, a weak estrogen. In most of us, that doesn't happen. And there's a catch. Not every woman's body converts soy into this equal. So why is there all this buzz about soy? There's a few reasons. Studies show that Asian women who eat a lot of soy tend to have fewer hot flashes and lower rates of breast cancer than American women. They also tend to be leaner, and body fat is a risk for breast cancer. The research performed on primates has produced results showing that soy may have cardiovascular benefits, but there are several snags with both claims. Number one, soy does not dissipate all menopausal side effects, including in Asian women. Even though they may have reduced hot flashes, they still have vaginal dryness, are at risk for bone loss, and many times complain of joint pain. The second snag is monkeys convert soy food into equal far more efficiently than we humans do. So not all primate-based research translates into outcomes for we human women. But soy can have some health benefits, but they don't always apply to all people. So don't just jump in with filling your pantry with soy powders and shakes and bars and especially soy pills in the hope of alleviating all menopausal symptoms. And even if you do convert soy into equal, you may not be addressing every menopause-related health issue. Furthermore, soy pills may or may not contain high doses of isoflavones, which are a class of phytoestrogens, but they do contain soy protein. For these reasons, they're not recommended solely as menopausal therapy. But go ahead and eat soy foods if you like the taste of them. But I would stay away from pills and powders and potions. Soy in many people can actually help lower cholesterol. Research shows that about 25 grams of soy food per day may reduce cholesterol levels. And women who prefer natural remedies to prescription medicines for lowering mild elevations in cholesterol may incorporate soy foods into their diet, along with oat bran, apple pectins, and garlic, and see improved cholesterol results. Reducing trans fats and reducing extra body weight will also help in improving cholesterol levels. You may ask, and I get asked this a lot, can women who've had breast cancer eat soy foods? If you're a breast cancer survivor, or even a woman at high risk for breast cancer, and you like soy milk or soy nuts or other whole food products that contain soy, certainly you can enjoy them in moderation. But do not take soy supplements, because I don't recommend that anyone take soy supplement pills. Do I need to buy cereals, bars, or special drinks labeled for midlife women? Well, if they're healthy and they taste good and they're convenient, you might want to consider trying them. But keep in mind that labels are simply marketing tools. And most cereals that are good for women are healthy for everyone. And you really want to look for things that contain calcium, protein, antioxidants, B vitamins, and folic acid. But a better way to go would just to find whole foods that naturally contain these nutrients. For example, broccoli is high in calcium and has many cancer-fighting properties. What is flaxseed and why do I need it? Well, flaxseed is very rich in omega-3, an essential fat, the same kind of benefit found in salmon and tuna and almonds and walnuts. So I recommend eating fish at least once or twice a week for the omega-3s, but not everyone likes fish, so try flaxseed, sprinkle it in yogurt or on cereals. Flaxseed contains lignans, which are believed to be anti-cancer agents, and flaxseed, like soy foods, may not affect menopausal symptoms, but certainly can help lower cholesterol, which tends to rise when you lose estrogen. I like ground flaxseed, flax bread, and cereal rather than flaxseed oil, because with whole foods, you get fiber. And you can grind your flaxseed in a coffee grinder, and some women like to mix it into smoothies or yogurts. Another question I get is, should I avoid certain foods while I'm going through menopause? Well, if you are getting hot flashes, sometimes spicy foods, hot beverages, caffeine, and alcohol can certainly make it worse. On the other hand, spices can add a lot of flavor without adding any extra calories. So you can test yourself. If you flash after eating a hot tamale taco, cool it a little bit with the extra spice. Another question. Can I eat red meat? Well, some of it depends on your genetics and family history and your cholesterol levels. So one size does not fit all. A few studies do show that women that eat daily red meat have more uterine fibroids. And because some livestock are fed hormones to promote growth, you could actually be getting some secondhand hormones in your steak dinner. I think it's also important to only get U.S. grade beef. Taken in small amounts, generally red meat is healthy, high in protein, high in zinc. Some lean meat can be very healthy, but like with everything, moderation is generally key. And so if your cholesterol is normal, eating red meat a few times a week is perfectly fine. But there are some people that, for personal reasons and other reasons, might want to totally avoid meat. If you are a vegan, especially a ovo-vegetarian where you have no milk or eggs, then you really do need to see a nutritionist to make sure you get a balanced diet. Everyone should focus on vegetables and fruits because they do have phytonutrients that fight cancer. The key is to find a variety of foods that you like. And it is important to wash your produce thoroughly. So what are menu musts for midlife? Well, a colorful plate is a sign of a nutritious meal. If you fill your plate with food that's green and red, which are full of antioxidants, and brown that are grains, and white dairy, you're certainly on your way to eating healthy. But midlife women have some extra needs not always covered. Sometimes you need more calcium or iron if you've suffered from heavy periods. Please listen to one of my first podcasts on iron, because even though we women have higher iron needs during times in our life, if you're over 40 and low in iron, it is important to evaluate for other causes of iron loss. So in terms of whole grains, fruits, and veggies, try to make this your mainstay. But if you have gluten intolerance or celiac disease, then you have to avoid all wheat and gluten protein. Fortunately, we have a number of good alternatives. So even if you're gluten intolerant or have celiac, there's still some, breads and pastas that you can enjoy, but you have to be very careful. The good oils and fats. Definitely favor olive oil over vegetable oils. Avoid saturated and especially trans fats. And choose foods that naturally have omega-3 in them as opposed to just taking a fish oil supplement. And even though soy pills are not a menopause solution, soy protein and soy foods are healthy options. Calcium. Generally, you need at least 3 servings of dairy products or calcium-rich foods a day. Dairy is great. Fish with bones, such as sardines and canned salmon, broccoli, and legumes like peas, beans, sesame seed, almonds.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Hey, quick question for you. Are you someone who wants to be fit, healthy, and happy? And what if I told you you could get your dream body by simply just listening to a podcast? I'm Josh.
And I'm KG, and we're the hosts of the Fit, Healthy, and Happy podcast.
Listen, we get it. Fitness isn't easy. Carbs, no carbs.
Just stop, okay? It doesn't have to be that complicated. And that's why we made this podcast. We get straight to the facts so you can become your best you.
So the way to check us out is click the link in the show notes or search Fit, Healthy, and Happy podcast on any of the major podcast platforms. We'll see you soon.
Most women, especially if they avoid dairy or if they're lactose intolerant and avoid dairy products, can't get enough calcium in their diet, and they may need to take a calcium supplement. Now, on our speakingofwomenshealth.com site, we have a calcium calculator, and we list foods that are rich in calcium. Like 1.5 ounces of Romano cheese has 452 milligrams. 1 cup of skim milk, 300 milligrams of calcium. Chocolate milk, 280 milligrams. Some non-dairy sources, seaweed, 3.5 ounces, 625 milligrams. Tofu, just a half a cup, is 424. Black-eyed peas, 1 cup, 161. A half a cup of spinach, which is also rich in iron, 120 milligrams. So there are plenty of other non-calcium sources. Now, in terms of calcium supplements with convenience, most calcium supplements come in 2 forms, either calcium carbonate, which you need stomach acid to digest, or calcium carbonate, which you don't need any stomach acid. I generally recommend calcium citrate, which is a little more expensive than calcium carbonate, because of convenience. You can take it with or without food. You can find calcium citrate gummies or effervescent or tiny little caplets. But if you're going to take calcium carbonate, like say Tums, take it after you've eaten food. But if you've had kidney stones, then the only calcium supplement you should take, and it should be under a doctor's supervision after checking your urinary calcium, because you might be leaking out too much calcium, which doesn't mean you're taking in too much calcium. It means your kidneys have a leak, and that's why you have kidney stones. So that needs to be prevented, which will also help your bones. So calcium citrate, the citrate salt of calcium in many people actually helps reduce kidney stones. But if you're confused, talk to your physician. Because remember, this book is great health information, but it doesn't substitute for seeing your physician. Vitamin D. Well, vitamin D is not a vitamin. And my second podcast in this series, not in this book chapter, but in my other series, is all about vitamin D. And vitamin D has been associated with reduced risk for breast cancer, colon cancer, pancreas cancer, prostate cancer in men, less diabetes, arthritis, osteoporosis, multiple sclerosis, falls, COVID lung. And far too many people are deficient. Your level should definitely be over 32, 25 hydroxy level. Pretty much probably better to be closer to 50 to 60. Most everyone I see in Northeast Ohio, and I do see people that come from around the country, even around the world, most people over age 40 are low. And you need estrogen and vitamin D to help your intestines absorb the calcium. Iron and vitamin C. Well, women can lose 15 to 20 milligrams of iron each month, depending on how heavy their periods are. But even if you're past having periods or have had a hysterectomy, iron is still vital. The recommended daily allowance for women is about 18 milligrams up until age 50, and then it drops down to 10 milligrams after that. Too much iron can cause problem with iron overload, and a small percent of people absorb too much iron and have a condition called hemochromatosis, which is a buildup of iron in the body that can also build up in the liver and lead to liver enlargement, cirrhosis, and even failure. So once menstruation ceases, the extra iron in these women's formulations is generally no longer needed. But women tend to only absorb about 15% of the iron in their regular diet. And if you eat some vitamin C with iron-rich foods, you will absorb more iron. And iron is found in lean red meat and potatoes and green leafy vegetables and spinach, iron-fortified cereals like cream of rice or cream of wheat. And also blackstrap molasses is rich in iron and calcium. And on our website on speakingofwomenshealth.com, we list lots of foods that have iron in them. Clams, 3 ounces of canned clams is 23 milligrams of iron. Oysters, 10 milligrams. Many fortified instant cereals can have 8, even up to 10 milligrams. White beans, 4 milligrams. Lentils, 3 milligrams. And there's many other foods. So please check our list. Fast fact, shopping at the periphery of your grocery store can help improve your diet. That's where you're going to find the produce and the low-fat meats and the dairy items. So please avoid the junk foods and processed foods that are in the middle at the peak eye levels. Should you supplement? Well, popping a pill that includes the nutrients of every woman-friendly food seems more convenient, more appealing than filling up on spinach and salmon and berries and green tea and other power foods. Many women just want extracts and oils rather than real food. Why eat your carrots if you can just take beta-carotene? Well, the answer is simple. Nature intended us to consume nutrients in the form of whole foods. Eating whole foods gives the body the best chance to absorb the right nutrients and process them for the strongest health benefits. So whole foods come first, with supplements providing more of vitamins and minerals that women need. While it's advisable and beneficial for many to take a supplement of vitamin D, possibly calcium, and potentially magnesium, just looking for supplements in various bottles is not necessarily the answer. And please bring your supplements and prescription and other non-prescription medicines in to your healthcare clinician. Well, what if I don't have the time to prepare a healthy meal, you ask? If you feel that finding the time to shop for and prepare healthy foods is impossible, you're not alone. I mean, many of us have really, really hectic schedules and feel like we can't always find the time to grocery shop, let alone pick out foods and then cook a nice, nutritious, visually appealing dinner. And with alarming frequency, drive-through meals have become a common fare, and family dinner sometimes has become a rarity. But we need to change the way we think about mealtime, because eating healthy is really a matter of life or death. And this means consuming nutritious foods, not just stopping at the fast food place or ordering food to be delivered at home. So with a little planning and shuffling of priorities, you can find a time to shop for groceries and set aside some time on the weekend to prepare for the upcoming week. Here are some healthy ideas. Cut a lot of vegetables ahead of time for salads and side dishes and quick snacks, and you can store them in a plastic bag. Prepare a meal you can invent the next night. Stir fry makes a nice filling for the next day's omelet, and a casserole freezes well for later in the week. I do a lot of pre-cooking in bulk and freeze. Store a couple of healthy dinners in your freezer for lunch or dinner, and pack a meal supplement like a nutrition bar if you know you're going to be on the run and not be able to eat. If you want to do meal substitutes, or you're not getting enough calories, or have elderly relatives who aren't getting enough calories, sometimes using Boost or Ensure may be helpful. Purchase portion-controlled snacks so that you can munch on them without consuming too many calories. Bananas are great on-the-go snacks. So are apples and nuts and dried fruit. Sometimes just taking a scoop of peanut butter if you're really hungry will kind of stave off your hunger. Take turns planning the meals. If every person in your household is responsible for the food planning or making, then the whole family learns how to prepare healthy meals. The indulgent diet for chocolate lovers. Yes, you can enjoy chocolate and even alcohol in moderation. You've probably read this before, but the claim is 100% medically accurate if you're talking about dark chocolate and red wine, because dark chocolate is very rich in arginine, a heart-smart amino acid. And for some people, it has mood-elevating properties. In fact, I think it's my third podcast is kind of devoted to chocolate and why women crave chocolate. Red wine is loaded with flavonoids that have antioxidant properties. So do many grapes and berries and fruits. But don't overdo any of them. Too much of anything, too much chocolate can go to your waistline. And too much wine not only can intoxicate you, but in the long run can damage your brain and liver and heart and increase cancer risk. So the key is don't let yourself go too hungry. Be honest about your lifestyle. And consider intermittent fasting, which is anti-aging. We'll have more podcasts on this and more podcasts on advances in weight management. And when you don't know if you'll have the time to prepare a nutritious meal, occasionally you can take shortcuts, but please make them healthy. Because our motto is to be strong, be healthy, and be in charge. So thank you for joining me, your host and author, Dr. Holly Thacker, on the Speaking of Women's Health podcast. Please give us a 5-star rating, and that helps us go up in the rankings. And join us for Chapter 7, Hot Flashes and Night Sweats.